LaVar, do you have any update on
No,
LiAngelo?
man, I ain't got nothing yet. I'm gonna wait till I get some more intel what's going on, then I'll let y'all know what's up.
Do you have any concern, or do you think everything's gonna be okay?
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everybody making it a big deal. It ain't that big of a deal. Uh-oh.
Luke, what are you going to tell some of the younger players before their first big road trip?
Get some sleep. I don't know. We haven't really thought about what the message is before the road trip. To me, it's boring, but we got to find the joy in doing the boring things, and that's what we've done all season long since training camp. It's just that much more difficult when you're on the road. Transition defense, the guarding your man, the communication, all the little parts of executing a game plan just gets amplified when you're trying to do it in on a good team's home court.
Do you remember your first trip?
I have no idea what my first trip was.
Just checking.
Do you just trust that the rookies know how to pack for a week away from home, or do you guys give them like a checklist or anything?
We trust that they can pack, but we also expect them to make some mistakes, and then they'll learn from those mistakes. For example, when I was a rookie, I didn't know what cold weather really was, and we landed in Minnesota, and back then rookies had the responsibility of helping the equipment manager unload planes. So it was about 3 a.m. I was outside with Rudy, unloading a plane in a t-shirt and some jeans. And it was probably -20 outside. But from that mistake, I now pack winter coats every time I go on these type of trips.
Did you have a winter coat at that point?
I did not own one. I grew up in San Diego and went to college at Arizona, and that's all I really knew.
What did you think a winter coat was then?
Kind of just, the little Laker sweatshirt or throwover they give you when the season starts. It's not what a winter coat is.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think rookies aren't continuing to help the equipment manager on the plane.
That doesn't happen anymore. So Brian Cook and I used to have to get off with Rudy on every trip and unload while the other players were getting on the bus.
What type of rookie duties do these guys have?
Not much. They're required to make sure our film room is clear of trash before they leave. They had to learn that one the hard way by taking a fine. But the rookie traditions have kind of gotten a lot softer in today's NBA.
What would you like to see come back? I guess, what did you learn the most from? That's a better way to ask that.
Well, I think that it's a good way for them to kind of learn, pace the respect to the players that have done it before them. When I was a rookie, we couldn't eat until we served all the vets food. We couldn't get on the elevator till all the vets got on the elevators. So it was frustrating. angry as you'd be sometimes, it was, you know, you paid them the respect that they deserved, and then when you were no longer a rookie, you had people doing that for you.
A couple days in a row now, Lonzo has mentioned his shot. You think it'll turn around?
Yes, I do.
How quickly?
I have no idea. Hopefully soon. Hopefully in Boston it'll turn around. But I know that he's out here working. I know that he's been a good shooter his whole life. I've seen him make 10 straight from his spot shooting. So he's got the skill and he's got the ability, and it'll only be a matter of time when that percentage starts to go up.
Do you want your rookies comparing themselves to other rookies in the league and seeing where they're at?
Not at all. I want our rookies focused on what we're doing as a team. Putting individual statistics aside and doing, playing the way that we want to play, and sacrificing that for the team. I think they're doing a good job of it. I mean, Kuz is probably shooting over 50%, and we're on him all the time about his shot selection, because out of those 3 or 4 shots he's missing a night, 2 or 3 of them, in our opinion, are bad shots. So we're going to stay on him about it, even though his overall percentage is good. And to his credit, he was 5 and 9 last game, and he had a couple threes that guys were flying at him, and instead of shooting, he drove the paint and made a pass to somebody else. So I think that's a good example of them buying in and not trying to get too caught up with their own individual success.
When you look at the teams that are commonly thought to be, in the hunt for the 8 playoff spots, what do you think they have that you guys are missing?
They've all been there before. Most of those teams have, I won't even say that, because we have Brooke and Casey, who are proven throughout their career they can hit the big shots down the stretch. But most of those teams have been together for a while and have gone after this, and they've failed together. There's nothing like failing to bring a good team together, because then you realize how bad that hurts and how much more you want it, so that you commit yourselves to a level that you didn't even know was really out there.
So you don't want these guys to win too many more games?
No, they can
Keep
win.
failing.
I remember when we were in Golden State, Steve and I kept laughing about, like, oh, this sucks that we're not going to be able to win the title this year, because nobody ever wins it, without getting deep and failing first. And sure enough, halfway through those playoffs, Steve's like, I think we're really going to win the whole thing. So if we go out and win the whole thing this year, I'll be okay with that.
But it's that or bust.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first trip to Boston as a player?
Nope.
What stands out about playing in Boston in general when you were a player?
The rivalry between the two teams. Obviously the history that's there, but it's much as that's still relevant in today's sports, where that's on the list of how high of a priority that is for what we're working on. It's not at all. Whether it's Boston, Washington, Milwaukee, it's all the same. They're good playoff teams, and as much as we like beating Boston and want to beat Boston, that's not going to be part of my pregame speech at all.
Ingram has been really aggressive getting to the hole the last game or two. Is that how he's going to kind of stake his claim?
Well, I think he's done a really nice job of just taking what's there, really. He's so long, he's starting to figure out some angles better, but he's been making some great passes to the bigs when they're rolling, keeping the defense honest. He's doing a much better job of attacking closeouts and attacking gaps and cutting without the ball. Where I think before he was getting in trouble because he was catching and holding and letting defenses load up on him. So the space and the spacing wasn't there for him once he did get by his man. So I think it's just more playing, playing the game aggressively and just taking what the defense is giving.
When I asked Kyle about those rookie rankings, he didn't care about them either, and he said that it's not the rookies he compares himself to. He compares himself to some of the best in the NBA, whether it's guys like LaVar. What does that go to say about a rookie having that type of just confidence?
Well, I think it
himself?
explains why he's been able to be so consistent since he's been here. You have to have a confidence about you to make it at this at this level, and for a rookie to do it, you have to be a very, very confident young man. So I just think it speaks to what he believes in himself and what he's able to do on a basketball court.
This team has a few rookies that have spent 4 years, 3 years in college. As a staff going into the draft, how much do you look at college experience in terms of what you might want on a team?
Well, that definitely comes into play because I think guys that go to good universities and stay for a couple years are way more equipped to play the game of basketball. But that's just a small part of the decision making whether or not we draft that kid or not.
There's a perception that if you spend 3-4 years in college, that when you might be more ready when you come to the NBA, but you have a lower ceiling.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't really play like a guy with a low ceiling
No.
because he's so athletic. How would you address that sort of?
Well, I think there's obviously there's some truth to that, but I don't put a ton of weight on that. Like, I'd rather have the kid that played 3 years and proved that he got better each year and played under a good coach that taught him the right and wrong way of playing basketball, as opposed to an 18-year-old kid that decided not to go to college and go play overseas for a year and has no idea what a good shot and a bad shot is. I'll take the kid that actually played in college if everything else is equal.
With Kyle, I mean, you look at him starting to get it, and his rebounding numbers are great, but how much of that is Kyle making an effort to do that, and how much of that is him playing alongside Brooke, and Brooke boxing out his guy, and Kyle being easier for Kyle in that starting unit?
It's both. I think he's putting up the numbers he is because he's aggressive and talented and has a great feel for the game of basketball. I think that becomes a lot easier. One, when Brooks either got the center out 30 feet from the hoop, or two, Brooks spacing the ball where all those roles for him are open. The game of basketball is a lot easier for everybody with space, and Brooke does a good job of providing space for everybody when he's shooting the ball